For Wall Street Media, this is Tyler Horn. That's Douglas Estat. We'll help you make money in the stock market with information you can't find anywhere else.
Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't hire him for his brains.
Yeah.
Tyler, we did send 3 people to Monaco this week.
Not
you,
me.
however, were not one of them.
Yeah, I noticed.
This
is really nice.
You were in Queens, and came in. And what did you do today instead of Monaco?
I went to the Brean Murray All Cap All China conference.
Andy's pickup sent me a picture of a Bugatti. The what is that? 1.5 million German?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The A-bone.
Yeah.
So that's Andy's out there having a great time.
So you probably rode in a $2 million bus, so you got him trumped. Who says you don't live it up here?
I walked in the rain back.
Past billion-dollar buildings.
Unbelievable.
So what do you have for us, Tyler? Come on, enough of this horsing around.
Well, to begin with, this
business.
is the Brean Murray All Cap All China Conference, and if you want to listen to this, you can find it at wsw.com/webcast/BMRY3. So, first up, we got a video. We got Clive Ng. He's the founder and executive chairman of China Cablecom Holdings. Their ticker is ccchf. He talks about the company's strategy going forward and then focuses on the acquisition in the Hubei market, which they recently announced. Here it is.
The China Cablecom strategy. We have organic growth, which is the increase of the ARPU and the subscriber base. The digital cable, along with the next generation services, such as VOD, so-called additional value on demand services, voice over IP, broadband services. All those are basically addition to the base price of the 350 of the ARPU increase, which is basically what we've targeted in the next 2 to 3 years of over, the migration to digital. There's also at the same time an increase in the existing subscriber base, whereby we're moving out to different areas of the municipalities, such as the suburbs areas, in order to increase our sub base. We're trying to maintain at least a 10% organic subscriber growth as the consumer disposable income increases. And to give it a relative appeal, Morgan Stanley did a research on the cable market, including Beijing Gehua, which is a Beijing cable predominant player, or the only player in Beijing. And the basic ARPU as a percentage of income is 0.8% in China. Second point, initially we identified the cable systems in Shandong province. As most of you might not be aware, Shandong province is the second largest GDP growth province in China. Recently, Carlyle announced a joint venture in Shandong for the industries. It's the second most populous province with about 95 million people. We identified that our first target, Bingjiao, is located in Shandong province. And we basically, for example, our goal is to acquire 1 million to 2 million subs in the Shandong province by 2008, end of this year. Our announcement, as I had mentioned in May, is that we recently announced an acquisition to Hubei. Hubei is a province, and I'll go into more details. It's one of the fastest growing regional cable market. And our goal is to acquire 1.6 million subs in Hubei province. These are the metrics. The Hubei Chutian Broadcasting acquisition is 5 times the size of our existing MSO in Bingjiao. It gives us a national presence that we're out of, the Shandong province, and we're in a different province. China Cablecom is projected to have 2 million cable subs after 2 phases are completed. As you can see from that, it's a bit small. The Hubei Chutian has region population 60.3 million people. There are 20.1 addressable subscribers. Homes passed, which is 2.5 million people. Current paying subscribers is 1.6. The current digital subscribers is 50,000. And the ARPU currently is at $2.20. I would give the revenue and EBITDA is forthcoming as we anticipate to close the Hubei transaction at the end of May. And post-transaction, we, of course, will give you the numbers.
All right, after a cable company, let's move on to a surveillance technology company. We have I've got some notes for you, by the way. We had Aiting Hao, the Senior Manager of China Security and Surveillance Technology. Their ticker is CSR. She discussed the opportunities they see for CSR in the traffic management, residential and community developments, and Safe City projects, which is a government-initiated program to get surveillance systems in public areas, government buildings, and traffic junctions, which they think is about a $30 million project minimum per city.
Yeah, I read that and I saw that a while ago, Tyler. And I was always amazed. I mean, this guy's market cap's $826 million, right?
Uh-huh.
But I'm amazed that it hasn't exploded like they said it would. I don't know what the holdup is. If there are competitors,
they didn't mention any holdups. They're giving a presentation. They're not going to talk bad about themselves, of course. From what they were saying, this is something that's coming. It's not quite there yet. It's worth at least $30 million in each.
Yeah,
city,
I
but
read
it's
about it.
Not here yet.
Yeah, I think it's helpful, you know.
Yeah, from what she was saying, this is coming. This is in the next
700 years.
Yeah, right. Let's go on. That
Am I helpful?
Talk, not really. We also had Chao Jiang. He's the Director of Finance for China Northeast Petroleum Holdings. Their ticker is CNEH. He talked about the recent $15 million financing, the proceeds from which will be used to drill 100 new wells and explore acquisition opportunities, and their work. He also talked about their work to get on a major exchange listing.
$15 million, they're going to drill 100 new wells, boy. God bless China, because you're not getting away with that here, are you?
Probably not.
Let's head down to Texas and see how many wells we can get drilled for $15 million.
That's awesome. Moving on, we had Rudy Wilson, the COO of Tongjin International, formerly called the Asia Automotive Acquisition Corp, before the merger with Hunan Tongjin on April 21st. It's when they merged. They announced that in the next few days, the company will be transferring over to the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol TXIC. Wilson spoke about the company's products and manufacturing processes, as well as the global versus China automotive markets. He also talked about how TXI has narrowed its acquisition focus going forward to 4 candidates, saying an acquisition can be completed with the 2008 calendar year. We had Randall Gaussman, the CFO of Ray Systems. Their ticker is RAE.
What year is this? It's year of the something, isn't it?
Year of the... Oh, is it Monkey? Yeah, you just...
You just look at Tyler and you think Monkey?
You monkey. Get out of here! Moving on. We had Randall Gaussman, the CFO of Ray Systems. Their ticker is RAE. He talked about growth opportunities they see in China, including in mine safety, chemical production, metals production, energy, and environmental systems. We also had Dexter Fong. He's the EVP of, this is Fuji International. Their ticker is FUQI. I swear it's Fuji. They said it a million times. Dexter said that jewelry is the third largest.
Word for it.
I listened to it. Dexter said that jewelry is the third largest consumption item in China after automobiles and housing, and because of the very fragmented market, there's room for them to come in as a leader.
What was their ticker?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Fuji.
Right, how could I forget that?
Guy. Fuji.
Yeah. You go ahead.
This thing. We had Edward Meng. He's the CFO of A-Power Energy Generation Systems. Their ticker is APWR. He talked about the company's energy technology portfolio, which includes wind, solar, hydro, ground source heat pumps, and biomass. He said that China has major problems with traditional central power generation, and A-Power can help eliminate the frequent blackouts. We also had Michael Mack, the Executive Director of Asia Time. Their ticker is TYM. He talked about the retail market and their potential entry into that market in 2009 through a partnership model to avoid high infrastructure investment risk. And that wraps up our
Super
China
interesting,
conference.
Ty. You know, something that you and I were talking about in our boardroom a couple minutes ago was China reminds me a bit of the .com times. You know, where every single company that presents, you know, at these, I remember doing these in the late 90s,
right
into, you know, before the bubble burst, right, for .coms, and everybody would quote that the internet's growing 100% every 100 days, and it's going to be this market. There's going to be $400 trillion, you know, dollars, and advertising is going to be this many hundreds of billions, and everybody thought they were going to be the one, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of a funny thing, right? Because if you did 100 companies in a day, 99 of them said, wow, that's a big enough market, that we're going to take a big spot from it, right?
Exactly. That's what pretty much all of them were saying. There's a
because it is the Wild West, and that's an exciting time.
Yeah.
But capitalists, right? We love this. Nothing's better than this, right? But I think it's really difficult to be able to parse out who actually has like some kind of distinctive advantage.
Right.
Like, well, why?
Right.
I mean, just because, no one else is leading the jewelry market, so you sell jewelry, so you'll be the leader?
Right. A lot of them were saying that. That was in every sector that they were talking about. They were all saying there's over 1 billion people there. Obviously, the market's huge, and the population is moving towards the middle class.
900 million of them are still living on, I don't know what it is, $1 a month or something, right?
Right.
And last month they sold 3,000 children into slavery in coal mines, like 12-year-olds, that were getting like 30 cents a day, I think it was.
Right.
They're not all driving Ford yet.
Yeah.
But
I think it's right.
I think it's hard. I think it's interesting, and I think this is what we live for as investors, as capitalists, right? But I think that you have to try to come up with some kind of an approach to it so that you can see why these guys might or why they might not be able to differentiate themselves and really be the leader.
It was like
Cisco now are kind of the undisputed king, right? And I remember Cisco were one of many. When we were looking in early days for routers, they were by no means the platinum standard that they are now, and that's just one example.
Right.
They were certainly leaders and well-established companies, but there were many other companies that were in the same position. I'd like to look at China and try to come up with some sort of a methodology or reason or thought process on, do I think these guys are going to lead? Yeah, there's a growing middle class, right? But, you go to 400 million of them are making $1 a month, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're not going to sell those people Fords next year, and you're probably not going to sell them a whole hell of a lot of gold jewelry, satellite TVs, right? Unless the prices really come down.
Right.
I'll just say like a dime.
Talking about, though, that was interesting. It was Fuji that was talking about this. They said that there were 30,000 other jewelry companies in China.
Right.
Which, could be mom and pop. It could be, I don't know.
There might be more than that.
But that's plenty of competition. And like you're saying, that you don't know who's going to pop up and end up being the leader out of 30,000.
Right. I want to know, just because you're in that business, right, and the whole market is going to grow, hopefully, right?
Right.
But why would you be the one who's the leader, right? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure German Mike and I could sit around if we ever managed to get more than an hour of sleep a night, and look back at tech things and see who was going to lead the world. And I had the greatest wireless card. Good one, German Mike. There's a company called Ricochet that sold the wireless notebook cards like you routinely lose now.
I've never lost one of those.
I had one of those, was it 10 years ago? 10 years ago, that we plugged into a notebook, and it got 300K up and down all the time, everywhere. And it wasn't Wi-Fi, and it wasn't this Verizon access, right, where I know it's because you're out smoking cigarettes, but you always claim like, I don't have a good connection in the hotel. I used it myself on Amtrak from D.C. To Boston. Didn't go down, 300K up, 300K down. On 9/11, when the terrorists hit, they turned it back on, and that's what all the emergency people used, right? And that was 10 years ago, right? And they should have owned the world, right? Now, the people are trying to sell Wi-Fi, which is crap, right? Or these Verizon cards or AT&T. I don't know if Sprint has one or not.
Yeah, they do.
And they're nowhere near as good.
Yeah, I routinely get under 10K up or down.
Yeah, we were 300K up and down. Remember pushing Denver Mike around on the chair with the notebook and the camera. Yeah, and they had that, and gone. They're gone, right? So you don't necessarily. I'd like to know, because things change a great deal.
Yeah. Well, cool. I think we're out of time here. I understand that. Tyler. You have a little bit of a stubble from shaving at midnight yesterday. Things change. Click the feedback button. Let us know what you're buying, what you think. Leave a sentence or two about what you're buying. Don't just give us a ticker. And you can find us every day at wsmco.com. Thanks a lot.